You know, we often think of coding as this cold, really technical skill. But what if it was something else entirely? Today, we're diving into the passionate, deeply human vision from Yasmin Kafai and Quinn Burke's book, Connected Code. And let me tell you, this isn't about coding for a paycheck. This is a manifesto for technology as a tool for connection, for self-expression, and, yeah, for social change.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start by completely redefining what coding even is. Then we'll break down their framework for learning, connect it to the bigger picture of social justice, and finally, look at how we can actually bring this whole idea to life in our own communities.
Okay, so right out of the gate, the authors challenge the very foundation of how we teach computer science. They basically say, hey, we've been focusing on the wrong thing. We've been looking at the isolated mind in front of a machine when we really should be looking at the connected person within a community.
And this quote, it gets right to the heart of it all. I mean, think about it. In a world where so much of our lives are lived through apps, games, and social media, the code that builds those things isn't just logic, it's become the very fabric of our relationships. It's literally how we connect.
So what does this shift actually look like in practice? Well, we're moving away from seeing code as this solitary, technical act of just solving a problem. Instead, we start to understand it as a communal, expressive literacy. It's a huge shift away from abstract algorithms and toward creating things that are personally meaningful and culturally relevant to you and your community.
So, to give this new vision some structure, the authors propose this really beautiful, holistic framework. They call it the geometry of connected learning, and it's designed to transform code from just a tool into a true medium for life.
And this diagram just illustrates the model perfectly. You see the student, the person, the spirit, right there at the center of it all. Everything radiates out from them, connecting these four key dimensions: the personal, the social, the cultural, and the tangible. And the key thing here is, these aren't separate subjects. They're completely interwoven.
So first, on a personal level, programming becomes a form of identity. For young people who are figuring out who they are, the screen can actually be a safe space to create games or stories that let them kind of draft and redraft themselves. The code they write isn't just an object to think with anymore, it becomes an object to share with.
And then socially, this means creating what the authors call a digital circle. Think of online communities like Scratch, where young creators gather around a sort of digital campfire. Here, you're not learning for a grade. You're learning because there's a real, authentic audience of your peers who give you feedback, offer support, and mentor each other. And it all boils down to this powerful little phrase from the book, which I just love. To share is to make. In this world of computational participation, the act of creating something and the act of connecting with others, they become the exact same thing.
Now, culturally, this vision has immense power. Remixing, building on someone else's code, it's not seen as plagiarism here. It's a conversation. A project becomes this seed, like we see in this remix tree. For groups who've been marginalized, this is a way to reclaim their stories, to insert their own voices into the culture, and to achieve what the authors call narrative sovereignty. It's huge.
And this just brilliantly illustrates that final dimension, the tangible. E-textiles, like this circuit literally sewn into fabric, bridge the gap between so-called female craft traditions and male engineering stereotypes. It honors that there are so many ways of knowing and making, weaving together tradition with the future. But Kafai and Burke take this whole vision even further. This is where they connect computational participation directly to the fight for social justice and equity in our digital world. They argue, we have to look past the old idea of the digital divide. The real issue today is the participation gap. See, it's not enough to just have a computer. The real question is, who has the agency, the power, to actually design the systems, to question their biases, and to remake the digital worlds that govern so much of our lives?
And here, they make this incredibly profound connection to the great educator Paulo Freire. Freire argued that true literacy wasn't just about reading words on a page, it was about understanding and being able to critique your world. Kafai and Burke powerfully reframe this for our time. For them, literacy in code isn't just about reading the world. It's about gaining the power to remake it.
And that right there reframes coding as a political act. It becomes an essential practice of digital citizenship. It gives us the tools we need to examine and challenge all those hidden architectures of power that are embedded in the technologies we use every single day. So this is a really beautiful and inspiring vision, right? But the big question is, how do we actually make it a reality in our schools, in our communities? Well, the authors find their answer in the model of the computer clubhouse. It's a community tech center where the focus has always been on collaboration and communication. This quote reminds us of the core mission. The goal isn't just computation, it's connection.
And they leave us with a clear, actionable plan. First, we have to shift our focus from just consuming technology to actively creating with it. Second, it's about designing learning environments that facilitate participation, not just isolated thinking. And finally, we have to intentionally weave those 4 dimensions, the personal, the social, the cultural, and the tangible, into every single learning experience.
Ultimately, connected code leaves us with this really urgent and provocative question. The authors write, "The computer is no longer a machine we walk into. It is a machine that walks with us." And so the final, crucial question for all of us is this: who will have the power to guide its steps? Into whose hands will we place our collective future?